Welcome to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher, where we take you behind the scenes with peak performers to learn what makes them tick and discover how you can apply their lessons to your life. I'm your host, Molly Fletcher. It's March Madness, and the Buffalo Bulls are dancing again. Today's guest is Nate Oats, the men's basketball coach at Buffalo and finalist for National Coach of the Year. You may remember Buffalo as the bracket-busting Cinderella team in last year's NCAA tournament. This year, they are back for more, and their head coach has a Cinderella story of his own. Less than 6 years ago, Nate was teaching math and coaching high school hoops in Detroit. Now, in his fourth season as head coach, he's led Buffalo to 3 NCAA tournament appearances, and it's not over yet. Today, we talk about his unconventional rise to the top of the coaching world, managing the expectations that come with success, and how he's been able to build a winning culture so fast. Here's my conversation with Nate Oats. Nate Oats, what a treat to have you on. You know, it's amazing. Less than 6 years ago, you were teaching math and coaching high school basketball in Detroit. And now you're coaching a top 25 team. Tell me this, what do you think your background has done to prepare you for the role and the great job that you're doing now?
Yeah, it's a great question. I've kind of talked about this with some people before, but I kind of got to where I'm at a little bit different than most people get to a head coaching job in Division I basketball. And I don't think I'd trade my route for anything. So it's a little different, you know. Now, if guys know they want to get into coaching and they're going to try to be a college basketball coach, and if they know that in high school, they may go be a manager at Division I school instead of play at a Division III school. But I got some of my best friends in the world that I played with in Division III, and I think having played at some level in college helps me relate on some level to the guys. Obviously, the game's changed, and I wasn't a scholarship athlete, but you still have to play, and you still get the pressures of it, and you still know how you wanted the coach to treat you and how. So I wouldn't trade that for anything. And just the friendships I have, I still talk to those players from back at Maranatha frequently. And one of them was my assistant at Romulus for 9 years. He moved out, Josh Baker. So, guys that were in my wedding, those are like my best friends.
That's awesome.
College team. And then you go to high school, and then I think you really learn how to deal with teenagers. I'm in college now, but it's not a huge difference. I mean, the guys are coming in, some of my high school kids set out, did 8th grade twice, as you know how some of the athletes do now to put themselves a year older. Well, shoot, I had seniors in high school that are older than freshmen I get here now. So but you learn how to deal with kids, and you learn it at a different level. When I was at Romulus, I mean, I'm in the community. I'm going to their houses. I'm picking them up from their apartments, I'm spending real time. I'm not just meeting them in my office. And then I get to coach them, and then I get to teach them. I've got 5 classes a day I'm teaching. And you not only teach them, you teach their girlfriends and their friends, and, you get to interact with all of it. So I think you get a lot bigger and better perspective of how to deal with kids and teenagers than you would if you just grew up through the college basketball coaching ranks. So I wouldn't trade the route I got here for anything. I've learned a ton about how to deal with people. I also learned about recruiting. I mean, I learned it on the other side.
I bet.
People were coming in trying to recruit my kids. They tried to recruit me to help them out. And I saw the fake stuff. You see right through it. It doesn't work. And, you got some of the best actors in the world come in the living room and leave, and the mom didn't want anything to do with it. I mean,
right.
You see right through the fake stuff. So, I just learned to be real, learned to be genuine, what works, what doesn't work. And I said if I ever got into Division I wasn't going to be one of those fake sell the whole recruiting pitch. I didn't want to be that. If I can't be myself, I don't really want to be it. So, but yeah, I did learn quite a bit through the route I got here.
Well, it seems like a pretty good route because you're a finalist for Coach of the Year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, how crazy.
it's a heck of a package, man, that's rolled up nicely.
Did you see that? That list just came out today with
It's
the final.
impressive.
It's a little crazy, to be honest with
Super
you.
happy for you.
No, I
It's
appreciate
awesome.
it. I just saw the list. My SID came into me. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like, first off, I have 0% chance of winning that award. When you look at that list, that's some pretty, there's some Hall of Fame guys on
You
that
always
list.
got to
So,
believe you can win, Coach.
well,
Come
that's
on.
true, but I ain't winning that. I'll believe I can win every game I coach, but I'm not winning that award.
All right.
But it's cool to be on the list with them.
For
at least.
sure it is. You know, everyone really remembers that upset of Arizona in last year's NCAA tournament. And talk to me a little bit about, you know, what for you and your team, what you learned from that experience, and how does that adjust or potentially, you know, impact the way you approach, you know, March this year?
Yeah, I think it gives us a confidence knowing that, you know, if we do X, Y, and Z, we can come out on top. And I think that confidence came into the beginning of this year. I mean, had we not beaten Arizona, I'm not sure that we win at West Virginia, and, you know, we won at Syracuse. And it gives you a confidence that you're now at a certain level with your program and can compete with some pretty heavy hitters. So I think, you know, one, it put us on a national stage, which obviously helps with recruiting, but it gave our own internal confidence that we got with our program that what we're doing is almost validated. What we're doing works. You guys are really good players. We've been telling you that good. You all players want to have a confidence, but then sometimes they need to go out and actually do it before they get true confidence in what they are. And I think that game gave the program, the players themselves, a lot of confidence that we can compete at a national level.
So it helps them believe a little bit more as they approach March this year, I would imagine.
Yeah, no question. We've been there, done it, won it. Now we also know it's really hard too. You know, just as easily as we upset somebody, you can get upset too. And it's looking like our first round game this year will be the favored seed. You know, like where before all the time we would be 12 or 13. You know, we're trying to pull an upset off. Now we're going to be on the flip side. If we do well here this week in conference tournament, where we'll be the favored seed going in, and, you know, we're going to have to know like how hard everybody brings it on that first day of the NCAA tournament. I mean, in my opinion, that's the best sporting event there is in the world.
Oh my gosh, for sure.
Yeah, it's awesome. That first day, like teams are coming after it. They're playing as hard as they played all year.
Sure. Well, and being the underdog and being the team that's obviously supposed to win, obviously that's a different mentality. How do you coach your guys up in those different situations to prepare them for the best outcome?
You know what? That's something we've talked about throughout the course of this year because, you know, people make the comments, you've got the bullseye on your back or you're the hunted now, or before. We tried to change the mentality with that. We tried to say, we don't want to be the hunted. That's fine, people, but we're going to hunt every night out. Like, we want them coming out with an aggressive attacking, like, we're going to come out and make you try to figure out how you're going to beat us. We talk about we're never matching anybody's intensity. We're going to come out with an intensity so high that they got to figure out whether they're even capable of matching our intensity level. And we haven't always done it this year. We lost a couple we shown off, but, you know, it's hard to be perfect every night out. But for the most part, I feel like our guys have come in with a pretty aggressive attacking mentality to where it doesn't matter if you're the hunt. It doesn't matter if you're getting everybody's A game every night. You're coming out the aggressor and trying to make them match your intensity. And that's what we want to be every night.
Yeah, for sure. How would you describe your leadership philosophy and over the years as you've evolved in your career, both as an athlete, you know, coaching, you know, in Detroit and now, how has your leadership philosophy changed and evolved over time?
You know, when it came into Ryman, so I was a Division III assistant for 5 years, a little bit of my background. I played at Maranatha Baptist, and I coached there for 3. Then I went to the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater, which is a little higher level. Then I got my first head job at 27 years old. And I, you know, at 27, I was a little older than the high school kids I was coaching. I was still young, though.
Sure.
I never wanted to be the guy that came in and just, like, put my foot down and it's my way or the higher. Like, I wanted to have an interaction, a dialogue. Like, I made sure they knew who was in charge, but I didn't want to be. I actually want the kids I coach to like me. I don't want to be a dictator, you know, kind of. If you get what I'm saying, I didn't want to be that. So,
yeah.
I want guys to be able to interact. I want to have a relationship with the guys. I can't be their their friend. I can be their friends, but I can't be their friends at the same level as their peers. I'm not their peer. You know, as you get older in high school, me and my assistant, Josh was with me there for 9 years, and we talked about, it was a little different. We got into our mid 30s. We weren't as close to their age, and we had established, it was a lot more
credibility.
Yeah, you get some credibility. So, but I still never wanted to get away from having the guys over to my house, hanging out with them off the floor, playing pool, ping pong, whatever. We used to take our guys to camp in the summers, like not basketball camp. We obviously took them basketball camps, like team camps, but we used to take them to just an overnight, like it was a church camp, but there's somebody in the church that paid for our guys. We used to take in Romulus. Then we took them like camping. Like I wanted to hang out with the guys off the floor so they got to know me. So in college, I want to do the same thing. We still have the guys, when I got the head job here after being an assistant, I didn't buy a new house or anything. I got a little bit more money in my salary than when I was an assistant. But we bought a boat because we wanted to be able to take the guys out on the boat. So we go boating. We take it. They have a lot of fun. Shoot, I've gone snowmobiling with, as a matter of fact, I went Friday. We had shoot around, then we had a few hours in between.
Dude, don't let any of your guys get hurt, man, or that's not...
that would not be good.
No, man, no. I used to, when I was an agent, my guys would want to play tennis and stuff like that. I say, no way, man, you're not going down on my watch.
It's a good thing none of my players have agents yet, or maybe
we go.
Maybe they wouldn't let them get on the boat.
That's right.
Or the snowmobiles, but
hey, just keep it clean. But good for you. You connect with your guys. That's what you're saying. You want to connect with them.
It is. I want to connect off the floor, because I think if you connect with them off the floor and they get to know you as a real person, I have them at the house. They get to know my wife and daughters, and they see you. Then you can relate to them when there is a problem. You come in, talk to them. They know you're not. I don't want them to ever feel like they're being used as a commodity per se. I get that they're real people, and I'm a real person too, and we can have man-to-man conversations. And I think guys want to play harder for coaches that get that than they do for coaches that just treat them as commodities per se. Like, that's not what I want to do.
What's been the most challenging sort of leadership moment that you found yourself in as a head coach at Buffalo in the last couple of years? And how did you handle it?
One of the hardest things for me is dismissing kids from the program. Like back in high school, I had a kid, Valdez Green. He lost his mind. He was a junior. He completely lost his mind in practice, threw his stuff down, basically quit. He cussed us all out and walked out of the gym. And then I felt really bad. Like I basically said, yeah, you're done. Like you kicked out of the program. And I had kicked a couple kids out. I felt like you had to establish that there's certain stuff that's not acceptable. But this is a kid whose mother was incarcerated. His dad was dead. He had a really rough life. Like, and I thought about it overnight, and I was like, you know what? If I kick this kid out of the program, he's going to be on the streets. Like I don't want that on me. Like I can help him. I pulled him back in, talked to him, let him back in the program. Didn't let him play the rest of his junior year, but he was really valuable. He ended up living with me for 2 years. He lived with me through the end of his junior year. 2 months later, after I let him back in, he had an issue, long story, but lived with me his whole senior year, lived with me when he came back when he went to college, and I still talk to him. As a matter of fact, I talked to him the other day. So like I got that, the background you get as a high school guy back in Detroit.
Sure.
So then I get it in college. Now in college, it's a little bit different. Kid gets in trouble, all of a sudden it's in the Buffalo newspaper. I want to reach out and help the kid. I also have an entire program that's got a big microscope on it. So to me, I would never get rid of a kid, hardly ever, if it was just me. Like I would try to help a kid. I would give him third, fourth chances. I'm all, none of us are perfect. I've made plenty of mistakes in life. I needed second chances in plenty of different areas of my life. So I would give a kid a second chance. But there's also, at this level, there's certain things you do that are too much. And then you go to administration. So then you got to walk in front of the whole team and let them know player X is no longer going to be with us. And guys on the team are going to disagree with the decision. That's their brother. That's what we try to create family here. We talk about, we've got 3 core values. One of them is selfless love. And we talk about loving each other as a family member, as a brother. Well, all of a sudden I'm kicking the brother out of the family. And some of this stuff I can't even tell to the entire team. They can't know all the details. So to me, that's when, like, can you keep the team together? Can you do what's best for the program? can I still try to help this kid that I kicked out, because I never want to just kick a kid completely to the curb. Like, I still want to help them even if they aren't in a program. To me, that's when the rubber kind of meets the road. Can you help everybody involved and still maintain you're running a business. It's a small business, but we're our own business here, and you got to keep that in mind a little bit more at the college level than you probably did at the high school level.
Speaking of selfless love, I read somewhere that you put together a culture playbook. So tell me about that process and really what came out of it. I know you mentioned one core value. There's 3 core values that you speak to, but tell me about that.
It's impressive, Molly. You did your homework.
Hey, you taught me well, man, you know?
You get an A for the day on your homework lesson.
Good stuff. Well, good. I didn't get them in school, so I'll take it now, man.
I'm sure you did all right. So I listen to a lot of books and podcasts. I've got a 14-year-old daughter, so I'm forced to listen to the radio occasionally when she's in the car with me, but she doesn't like to listen to my books and podcasts. But so during the year, it was 2 seasons ago, I listened to a book that came out Above the Line on Urban Meyer. So it was good, but listening and reading are a little bit different. I like, listening to a book's better than listening to Pop 40 radio or whatever. But so I listened to the book. I liked it a lot. All of a sudden that spring, so this wasn't last year, it was the year before that. So 2 seasons ago. So there was a guy, have you read the book or Above the Line?
I have not, but I it's on my list now.
Yeah, it's good. You'd like it. So obviously the Urban Meyer thing, I got a lot of respect for him, but I think he's probably faced the same deal. He's trying to help an assistant, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. But I got a lot of respect for what he's done. He's one at a high level. So anyways, there's a guy in the book, Tim Kite, that kind of helped Urban do a lot of his culture stuff. He's a pastor in the Columbus area. Anyways, him and his son, Brian Kite, have a corporation called Focus3.com. Well, Brian Kite came to speak to Buffalo football that spring. Also, so the football staff invited us over. So me and my whole staff went over and spent the entire day with the football staff and Brian Kite, and they went through kind of culture playbook stuff. So all of a sudden I'm like, okay, it was really good. Like, if you follow, I don't know if you follow, go to focus3.com, follow Brian Kite.
Are you getting a kickback on this deal or something, man?
Yeah, I should. I didn't even talk to the guy. They don't even know him, because I really did. After that, I didn't even use him. But so I bought my whole staff to act like men. We also have a mental skills coach on staff that he was kind of part-time that season, that 2 years ago. I kind of brought him on. He was a psychotherapist, counselor in the area, owned his own counseling practice. And I had a couple players that it was more like, I need some help with these guys. Like, they're out of their minds. They lose their mind. I don't have a psychology background. Can you help me? And he kind of came in and he did some stuff with the whole team, but he came in. And so we read the book. We kind of got with the Focus 3 and the culture playbook that they kind of introduced to football. And I don't know what football ended up doing, but we sat down. Arnie's our mental skills coach. Arnie Ewan's his name. So Arnie and the staff sat down that summer and came up with a culture playbook. We had it in place to put in when all the guys came back. So we get to work with our guys for 8 weeks during the summer. They come back the beginning of July, and we put it in. Arnie met with them like once or twice a week, did the whole thing. So we basically came up with 3 core values. They're max effort, continuous growth, selfless love. So we're going to give max effort in everything we do, practice, individual skills, weight room, academics, all of it. Then we're going to continuously get better. Let's get better today. Let's get better tomorrow. Let's be better this game than we were last. Let's be better this. Every day we're going to get small increments. We're going to continuously grow. And our culture of guys getting in the gym on their own has been unbelievable. Like, they are continuously working on their own game. And then we teach men how to love each other. Like, sometimes that may be thought of as a little funny, but if I really love you as a brother and we go back to the apartments and you want to smoke weed and I know that's not what's best for you, I'm going to say something to you. Now, if I don't love you and I don't care about you, just do what you want to do. As a matter of fact, if I'm competing with you for playing time, let you smoke weed, you'll fail a drug test, get kicked out, and it's better for me because now I play. But we don't. That's not the culture we want to build. We want all these guys. So they do. They call each other out. They call each other out now there's a way to do it properly. You don't want to disrespect them. But like, if a kid's not going hard in practice, our culture's to the point where his brothers are going to let him know that that's not how we do things around here. So now it's been 2 years coming. We put that playbook, and it's Arnie, our mental skills coach, comes in twice a week. He was in today and watched practice. Like on Mondays, he just comes in, watches practice, meets with a couple guys individually after practice, kind of checks in with me to see how it's going. And then Thursdays, he comes and actually has a point of emphasis he wants to make. And during the season, they may only go 20 minutes some days. So, some weeks. They're like preseason in the fall, they may be more like an hour. And then this summer, we did a retreat as well. We went on Airbnb, went down into Ellicottville area. It's like big ski country down here. So it's not in the summer, it's not as used, but it was great because they got the ski hills. So we had them up first thing in the morning, climbing hills. And we spent 2 nights, the entire program, like trainer, video coordinator, everybody. Like there's like 25 of us stayed in one big house.
That's awesome.
We're all over. It's like back in, we're on blow up mattresses and shoot. I'm in there with them just like everybody. So we went, we did a retreat.
So cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. They had a lot of fun. Guys, we were just talking about it the other day. Matter of fact, we had our own senior night. We did it the day before with Arnie, our skills coach, had each guy stand up and talk about each of the 5 seniors, and so it's been good.
And so, Nate, are these max effort, continuous growth, and selfless love, are these pinned up in the workout room, in the gym, on the walls, in their lockers? How does that show up every day for them?
That's actually a great question. So there's a couple different things we've got. So the book Above the Line talks about above the line, below the line behavior. We defined for ourselves what above the line behavior is. So that above the line, and it's a little bit different than what they did. We came up with 3 words that define above the line behavior for us. For us, it's focused, productive, and driven. So that stuff's up in that above the line stuff with some other quotes and stuff. That's up in our meeting room. So it's it's got a line. It's actually really cool graphics that our guy did. It says focus, productive. If what you're doing isn't productive, driven, and focused, then it's below the line behavior. We don't want, we want a little below the line behavior. And then the other stuff it's not up as much as I like because we just got a new weight room. I would like to get it up more though. I think it's good to be up. Now it is up on every one of our PowerPoints and everything. It's like on our stationery, we've got our max effort, selfless love, continuous growth. That stuff's up. It's in the guys. They've got their own notebooks to take notes on scouting reports. Yeah, it's in all that. It's on that, but it's not on as much walls as we'd like to have some of that stuff on, but it will be eventually.
Yeah, no question. Well, that visibility is huge. You, like our mutual friend Izzo, maintain a blue collar mentality, right? Like you've talked about that. It's evident in the way that you approach it. How do you ingrain that in all your guys and your staff?
We actually kind of adopted this whole blue collar approach. So again, this kind of all came place 2 years ago. We weren't playing as hard as we wanted to. Lindsey Hunter, that played with the Pistons, was my assistant, walked in one day and basically said, you guys aren't blue collar enough. And it was true. We were kind of fighting with them to get them to play harder. And I agree with them. And then, so we defined what's blue collar. So that really kind of hit me Lindsey's right. We got to be more blue collar. So we defined it. Then all of a sudden I got Arnie reached out to somebody he knew in the community and got this hard hat. So we got a real construction hard hat that had been on construction sites. So then we came up with a point system, like 4 points for a charge, 2 points for a floor dive, point for deflection, point for, we got this whole, we call them blue collar points. So then we give the hard hat out to who wins the blue collar. Like we just had our last game, senior night, our kid Dante Carruthers, who's the awards are coming out this week. He's I don't see any way he's not 2-time defensive player of the year. Yeah. I mean, he's
special.
He really is. And he broke the record for single player blue collar points in a game. He almost had 40. He had 39.5 blue collar.
That's
usually
awesome.
If you had 20 as a player, but he did that on senior night here. So we praise charges, we praise floor dives, we praise all the blue collar stuff. We try to recognize guys that do blue collar stuff in practice. We got, and again, I'm a huge Michigan basketball is great right now. Izzo's had that thing rolling forever, and I used to go up to Michigan State practices all the time when I was back. And then,
He's
but now,
best.
Yeah, he is. He's great. Now Beeline's got Michigan rolling, but I stole an idea from Harbaugh. I saw they had like these kind of mechanics, like blue collar type, like shirts.
Oh, yeah. There we go.
Yeah, so everybody in the program has those. So the assistants wear them like
That's
pregame
hot
warm-ups.
with your name right there, man.
Yeah, it's true. You got it. So we can do your oil if you want to come
there
to
we
Buffalo.
go.
We can,
I'm right.
We can change your oil, maybe your brakes or something too for you.
I'm in.
So
that's outstanding. So you really defined it, and then you reward behavior against it. That's awesome. That's great. How about recruiting? I mean, tell me a little bit. I mean, you've been on the one side as a high school coach, and then now on this side of it. What is your approach to recruiting and getting in the living rooms of these kids and getting them to sort of buy into the beliefs and the approach that you have to the program?
Yeah, it's a lot easier now that we've been winning
No question, I bet.
get in there. That helps everything out a little bit. I think so. Even before, I mean, when I came here with Coach Hurley as an assistant, it was hard to sell Buffalo basketball. They had never been to an NCAA tournament. They had never won the MAC. They had never, there wasn't that much history. They had only been in Division I for about 20 years. I had to kind of sell Bobby Hurley. Bobby Hurley is arguably the best point guard to ever play in college basketball history. He comes from a winning family. So, but I still think no matter what you're selling, if you can't sit down and be real, and people see right through fake. So if you can't sit down, because obviously coaches go in and turn around losing programs. Well, so you're not selling a winner. You're creating a relationship where they trust you. So I think that's number one, is you get them to trust you by being real, genuine, spending time, talk on the phone. Now that we're winning, we sell, obviously you can come here, trust us. We're winning. This is a style of play you want to play. But I still think at the end of everything, it's just relationships, keeping the high school relationships I have back in Detroit, building the relationships with the other high school coaches that'll help you with the kid, and building the relationship with the kid. If a parent split up, does the dad have any say at all?
Right.
Or is the dad going to be figure out who it is and build the relationship with the people? And then, to be honest with you, if you do that in the recruiting process, it's a lot easier to coach the kid. Like if the kid's a straight mama's boy and the mom's making all of this, build a relationship with the mom. And then when you've got an issue with the kid, then, once you get it, call them out. Like, give me some help. You know this kid better than anybody. And if you don't have that relationship to start with during the recruiting process, you can't really do that, or they won't trust you as much to give you what you need. So it takes time to build the relationships, but I also think just being a genuine person and not trying to oversell stuff that shouldn't matter. I mean, our facilities, they're nice for our level, but they're not. We're beating high majors out on kids now. Well, our facilities aren't. I mean, you go to Michigan State, we don't have the same facilities as those high majors. But I
but
think
they're buying into you and your staff and the other guys.
Yeah, kids know that's not what. At the end of the day, that's not what's winning games. We win games by people that you're in that locker room with and who you're being coached by. Can you trust them? Do you trust the program, the relationships with the staff and the players? That's the biggest thing. And your players help recruit. We just had 2 kids on official visits. I mean, I tell the parents, the kids, please ask the players anything you want. Get them away from me so that they don't think they're being forced to say it. Ask them whatever you want. We're an open book. I coach them hard, but they know we care about them, and that's the biggest thing to me.
You're clearly really curious and always trying to get better. What are some of the things that you do personally as a leader to continue to grow?
Like I told you before, I listen to tons of podcasts and I listen to a lot of books. I read books as much as I can on whatever I like. Obviously, I love coaching. Biographies on basketball coaches are great, but I like studying football coaches. I like studying war stuff, any of that stuff. I'm not a big fiction guy. I don't read much fiction.
That is so funny. I'm the same way.
Yeah, no,
I don't have time for things that weren't true or fake.
No, it's true. The fiction that I like to read would be like John Gordon uses fiction to make a point. So some of the
totally.
Those type, I'm in with that. But but not the other stuff.
I know, but maybe that stunts our creativity, Nate. I don't know. Somebody told me that once.
Yeah, I think my wife might have told me that she's big into reading novels. But you know what? She can be creative for me.
There we go. So let's talk about your wife. There's so many defining moments in our lives, and I know you went through some personal adversity in the last few years with your wife's battle with cancer. How did that change you as a coach?
It changed me as a person, which obviously you as a person that becomes you as a coach. I think you start to value what's more important in life. I mean, I as a high school coach at Romulus, I probably spent way more time than I should have in the gym and with not with my family. and to the point where I was, there's no perfect husbands. Like, let's not act like that, or wives or any of that. But I'm a much better husband today than I was 4 years ago before all that. Like, and even going through a lot, like when you're faced with life and death, like and we could talk for an hour about the whole cancer thing, but she had double hit lymphoma. If you Google double hit lymphoma, she's probably supposed to be dead. Like now, saying that Roswell Park Cancer here in Buffalo is really good, and they did an unbelievable job treating her. If she would have got diagnosed with this 10 years ago, she probably wouldn't be here. So they everything with cancer is coming, and that's why anything to do with cancer, I'll jump 2 feet all in and help support it, and coaches versus all that stuff. So like, it was really hard the day that she called me at the office and told me she had cancer. I had to go home. That was a tough day. It might have even been tougher when we went and met with the oncologist to figure out what type of lymphoma she had. And when we walked out of there and started Googling it, I mean, we all got smartphones now, and all of a sudden we're like, it's almost like you got to catch your breath. Like, hold on. Like, there's no good stories out there when you Google double hit lymphoma. So then we were fortunate enough, there was a student, now Maranatha, where I went, it's a small Baptist liberal arts school, less than 1,000 students. Somebody that I had gone to school with, I didn't really know him well, but his wife had made it through double hit lymphoma. So somehow he heard, they reached out, she talked to Crystal. So we got some support, like, and there was people that had been through it and made it, at Roswell Park. And so we had real good support system. But yeah, going through that makes you value a lot different things. Like winning and losing a basketball game, there's no pressure on that anymore. Like give me a break. Like making it through
cancer. It gives you perspective.
Yes, much different perspective. So now I don't take things for granted. You don't take your wife for granted. You treat her much better. I think it helps with your empathy. 100% my empathy with my wife is a night and day from what it was. But I think that also helps you deal with your empathy with the team. Like me and my, you go through some marriage counseling and figure out how to treat your wife better and all that. Well, you also learn how to treat other people in your life, including your players, your staff, and everybody better. So like when you try to really make your family and your marriage and you value it more and you try to make it better, you also learn a lot of other things that help you in every other area in life. So I think it's helped me empathize with players, empathize with staff, and just be a better human being and a better man in general. And I think it helps you in all areas of your life.
What's the most important lesson you've learned over the last 5 years as a leader? You're an incredible leader. There's no doubt about it with the work that you've done and the success that you've had as a coach. What would you say if you boiled it all down? What's the one or two biggest lessons you've learned?
I should have been ready for tough questions like you asked, because I've listened to your podcast enough times and you asked really good questions. But if I was smarter, I would have done my homework and tried to predict tough questions.
Well, you've been a little busy, man. You've been a little busy.
That is true. The one thing I'm going to say is we preach servant leadership all the time. CJ Massenberg's our best player, National Player of the Year candidate, the whole deal. There's a viral video of him. Me and him had to sit there and go through a interview after a game with media after we lost, and it was not fun. And he picks up all these water bottles that were sitting, and somebody recorded it and tweeted it out and talked about he's after team camp, he was picking up all the trash. There was a local Division II coach in the area that used to be a Division I coach that told NBA scouts about it. He's just a great kid. But I think if you don't model, here's what I'm going to say. Maybe the best thing I've learned, you can say whatever you want. It doesn't mean anything if what you do doesn't match what you say. So whatever you're preaching to the kids, if you're not doing it and you're not being a model of it, you're a little bit of a fraud. We're all that way a little bit because we obviously all would like to be better people than we actually are. But if you're not making a concerted effort to do what you're preaching, it doesn't work. So if you're going to preach servant leadership, then you know what? I better be willing to carry the guy's bags, help unload. So you know what? When we get off our charter flights, I help unload the bags. I help load the boss. I don't want to be above anything. Now, being a head coach, you got to be smart because your time's limited and I can't do everything. That's why they hire people around here to do some things. But I also don't want to have people serving me all the time, and I never serve anybody. That's not what a leader's supposed to be about. So I think the more you can model behavior you want to see in the people you're supposed to be serving and leading. I ask our players for input on scouting reports, shoot plays, but I also ask them for input on, do we need a day off, restaurant, all that stuff, like make them feel included. So
sure. And then you listen.
Yeah, you listen. I don't want to be a dictator. Yeah, I don't want to be
Right.
a dictator. That's not,
Right.
that doesn't go over that well.
It's like parenting, right? Our kids watch, and we both have 3 daughters, watch what we do as much or more than what we say.
Better learn to apologize because you're never all right as a parent. So
Right on. We're all learning.
We want them to apologize multiple times a day, but we never want to apologize when we screw up. So you learn how to apologize to your kids too.
Okay, we always end, as you know, with rapid fire. So I'm going to fire off some questions, and then you just fire back.
All right.
You ready?
I hope so.
All right. One word to describe you.
Hardworking. That word, it's hyphenated, so that's kind of 2 words.
Yeah, let's go with it. Grinder. Grit. One word your players would use to describe you.
Intense.
One word to describe Buffalo basketball.
Blue collar. I'm big with the hyphenated words today.
Yeah, you are. Let's do it. Okay, one habit that's improved your life.
Exercise. Exercise more.
Exercise more. Well, let's hyphenate that too while we're at it. What's your biggest pet peeve?
Wasting food. I hate it when my players waste food. Like I know we got all this extra money around here and stuff. It drives me nuts. Like don't take more than you should eat. I don't know. It drives me nuts more than I should. Yeah. Or my mom and dad.
A coach you admire.
Tom Izzo.
Yeah, you and me both. What is success to you?
Getting the most out of your abilities.
Okay, so the show's called Game Changers. So one last question. What game changer inspires you and why?
Here's one guy that I really respect that I'm getting to know a little bit more. I went out and watched training camp. Brad Stevens. I think the intellectual side of, like, he still gets his guys to play hard without, he's not the old school in your face yelling. Like, I really think Brad Stevens is in somewhat of a way is a game changer with being an intellectual coach without having to scream and yell in your face, and still, like, I think he's the definition of servant leader, humility, still gets guys to play hard, and has an intellectual approach to the game that I really admire. I went out and watched training camp. We talked. I'm cool with one of his assistants that was with him at Butler. Like, I admire it. And again, they've struggled too. To watch him in the media talk about how it's his fault and he takes ownership of it and he's got to do a better job. I admire a lot about that.
Yeah, no, he's a special coach, and when you look what he's done over the last 10 years, it's unbelievable. And you know the name Lenny Wilkins, I'm sure, who was one of our clients.
Yeah, I'm a junkie.
Yeah, and Lenny Wilkins was a client of ours, and he was, he was one of those guys, 25 years ago that wasn't yelling, right? That was very soft-spoken, but a servant leader for sure, and kind of had that style about him, and he connected with his guys.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of respect, and I think the game's kind of gone. There's still guys that really get after it, and I respect them too. And if you do, you better have a great relationship with them. And I'm a little bit more.
That's exactly right. That's what Tom says.
Yeah, and that's why Tom's like that. And I respect him because you can't coach like he does if you don't have a great relationship with your players.
Exactly. And his guys love him. He can light them up, but they love him.
No question.
And they love you too, Nate. Hey, it is, you are such a gift, and your success has been so fun to watch. And if you got somebody picking Buffalo in their bracket, it's me, man. So all the best this month.
I appreciate it. It's an honor to be on here. I've listened to a lot of them, so I appreciate you having me on. It was great. Keep doing what you do.
Well, it's a pleasure. You too. And prayers to your wonderful wife.
No, I appreciate it, Molly. I'll tell Crystal you so well.
Thanks, as always, for listening to Game Changers with Molly Fletcher. If you like the show, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. There you can listen to previous episodes and leave us a review, which helps other people find out about the show. For more about me, visit mollyfletcher.com. Until next time, stay curious and be bold.